Hello, it's Julie, and I'm here in my English garden in my blackberry bush. I love blackberries and it's blackberry season, so I wanted to share this with you because I'm always eating the blackberries, picking the blackberries, making blackberry jam, and blackberries are about community and about sharing, and I'll touch on that briefly at the end. But I'm going to share some of the folklore, and of course this is what I love to do, is love to pick them and eat them fresh from the garden. So it's blackberry season now, it's August, and blackberry season is in full bloom. And people like me constantly walking the hedgerows. Luckily I have also in my garden picking blackberries, and of course turning my mouth purple because I'm always eating them. I go for a walk early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I normally pick the blackberries then because they're fresh, and then sometimes I freeze them, sometimes I make jam, sometimes I make crumbles, but I also gift them. And this is what I wanted to share to you, some of the folklore on the magic of blackberries. Humans have been eating blackberries as far back as we know, like at least 8,000 years. And there is archaeological evidence of this in the ground or wherever the archaeologists find these things. Now, it is said to leave the first blackberries of the pig. Normally the blackberries start appearing in August, although now as the seasons are changing, I got my first blackberries this year in July. And I noticed that this morning that the best seems to be over, and yet really it shouldn't be over until September. So the old folklore was, or the fairy folklore, and of course you know I love fairies, especially the Manx folklore, is that we shouldn't pick the first crop of berries, we should leave them for the fairies and save the first crop for the fairies and the last of the blackberries for the fairies. It is said if it's not listened to, then the rest of the blackberries will have grubs in them or won't be good, and they will taste bitter and nasty. It's also said though at the same time in Cornwall that if you eat the first blackberries of the season, they can cure your warts. So that's a bit of contradictory information, but you know, folklore and legend through the ages changes. In mythology, blackberries are often the symbol of abundance, associated with the goddess of fertility, of plenty and of harvest, sometimes associated with overindulgence and earthly pleasures. Of course, we always have to have that. The religious meaning in Christianity or Christian art is that they symbolize neglect or ignorance. Interesting. In Mediterranean folklore, it claims that the crown of Christ was made from the blackberry thorns or runners, and the deep colour of the blackberries represents Christ's blood. Now, most of the folklore that you read says you should not eat blackberries after the 29th of September. This is when Saint Michael, the 29th of September is known as Michaelmas, and this is the day that Saint Michael's named after, because that's the day he's supposed to have battled Lucifer, and when Michael kicked Lucifer out of heaven, Lucifer landed in hell and on a thorny blackberry bush, and he was so angry that he cursed the blackberry bush and ensured that all berries after the 29th of September or Michaelmas Day onwards would be tasting and foul or would make you ill. It is said that he cursed the brambles, and depending on what country's folklore you subscribe to, he spit on them and he wagged his tail at them and he threw his cloak on them, and any blackberries after that date that you eat are cursed and could make you ill. Well, if you believe that, that's up to you. I personally still eat blackberries after the 29th of September. But anyway, now there was another folklore or old wives' tales that I really thought you'd enjoy, and that is the idea that the blackberry season coincided with this season that babies, cats and horses became unwell. The change of the seasons, I guess. This was a firmly held belief in Dorset, in the south of England, and as well as in other parts of the UK, but particularly in Dorset, and that babies who were suffering whooping cough, which of course would have been relevant or prevalent in the ages gone by, if they were suffering from whooping cough at this time the blackberries were available, that if they were passed under an arch of brambles 7 times, it believed that the illness would be transferred to the bush, and they would say as they were passing the baby under the bush 7 times, "In bramble, out bramble, here I leave the whooping cough." Well, I don't know whether it worked or not, I doubt it, but this is the wonderful mystery and folklore of brambles and blackberries. They are very healthy for us. They help with memory loss and they fight free radicals, and they're very good for anti-inflammatory things. You can drink the tea, eat lots of them, make pies, and like me, I have them all the time. I make blackberry jam, I make blackberry jam, I make blackberry crumble, and I gift them. Now, the most interesting thing I learned whilst I was researching blackberries, because I have a bowl here, because I'm always eating them, was in the Civil War in the USA, records show that temporary truces were put into place on both sides of the Union and the Confederates so that the soldiers could forage for the blackberries, sometimes together in the same bush. And these berries would then be used to make teas, to cure dysentery and other illnesses. And the power of the blackberries is evident in our culture, in all cultures, not only to make us feel better, but always to bring us together. And that's why I love blackberries, and that's why I'm always picking them and I'm always making jam and gifting them. Because this is what it's about. It's about community and abundance and sharing. So I will do more on my channel. Maybe I will show you how I make jam. And it's very easy and very simple. I have little bottles, little jars of jam, and I gift to the community, to my friends, to my neighbours, especially as most of the blackberries I've picked are from the hedgerows. So go out there, have fun, pick the blackberries, enjoy them, share them, eat them raw, freeze them, and remember to save some, make them in a pie that you can eat on Michaelmas Day on the 29th of September to help upset Lucifer a little bit more. Thank you for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm just going to share one now. And I love to share you my bush. And actually this is a good time to end this video because it's starting to rain. I hope you've enjoyed listening. If you do, please just say, ooh, see, the wind is now blowing over my stand. So just press like on my channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and I really look forward to talking to you again soon. And please add some comments if you know any more interesting facts about blackberries and about community. Thank you for listening.